tokenized gold assets like Tether Gold, Pax Gold, crypto tokens backed by physical gold, and you're tracking the price of gold over time, they outperformed all the gold ETFs except for one, which I think was the BlackRock Gold ETF in 2025.
As in like volume?
Is in trading volume, yeah.
Jeez, okay.
How crazy is that?
That is pretty nuts.
Like, so people are now, because gold ETFs have been around since 2004, 2005. So, they got that longevity, they got that reputation, whereas these gold tokenized assets are pretty new to market, but clearly getting the adoption that we've seen from stablecoins as well. So Tether continues to print money is what I make from that.
That's a good shout. Oh man, I had no idea. That's crazy.
Yeah. Just a little side note, that one. But anyway, at the top of the show, I mentioned that we'd compare sort of what we're seeing now to previous bear markets. Yep. So in particular, looking at 2018, 2022, and now, 4 years later, we're in 2026. So I guess the key theme is, and we have made comparisons to previous bear markets before, but what I want to focus on is relief rallies in bear markets and how to spot them compared to, how to pick a bottom. Yep. Because at the end of the day, people see relief rallies and think, oh, this is it. This is the next wave of the bull market. But no, only for it to, draw down even lower, right?
Yep.
So 2018, let's start there. In 2017, we saw Bitcoin peak at around $20,000 USD. And then, over that year, we saw several relief rallies, which were pretty significant. So in February 2018, we saw a 50% bounce from the initial low. April, we saw a 30% rally, 35% rally. And then July, we had another push higher before the final capitulation, which ended up seeing Bitcoin bottom around $3,100, right? And I think the key thing there is those swings are way more aggressive than what we've seen now. The market was significantly smaller, means volatility is easier to come by. But in terms of the patterns we're seeing, they're still pretty similar, just not as aggressive.
I remember that period because 2017 was when I first got in, and I bought in pretty much close to that top. I think it was like 17.5K I bought my Bitcoin. And then I remember seeing those bounces and rallies. I was like, oh, I don't want to miss the next time it goes past to $30,000. I was buying because I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I think like even though we've learned more over time, people will continue to do that. Yeah. But hence why we want to, explain some of these patterns. So next 2022, as we mentioned before, we had the Luna collapse and also FTX in 2022. It was a pretty disastrous year for crypto, if anyone remembers clearly.
Yeah, that was a wild year. I think even around that May period, we saw Russia invade the Ukraine. So there was all sorts of stuff happening.
The Ukraine. Why do people call it the Ukraine?
Did I say that?
Yeah, you do.
All right, Ukraine.
I'm pretty sure Trump does as well.
Oh, don't do that.
Anyway, so I think we topped out around November 2021 for Bitcoin at around 69,000 US.
Yep.
Then in May, it went from about 40,000 after the Luna collapse to around 17,500. And people were thinking, that's the worst. Let's buy in at this bottom and wait for the bull market. And it did. It bounced back to 25,000. But what happened next? FTX collapse, which drew it down even further to around 15,000 USD. So that people were thinking, oh, I'm buying at 25,000, which in today's prices, a bit of a bargain.
That's right.
But at the time, dropping from 25 to 15, that's a 40% drawdown.
That's pretty much what we've seen today. I think right now, top to bottom is like 43 or 44. So that would be right now the same drawdown we've seen. Yeah,
absolutely. So what are the key things we see from this pattern here is initially we have a big drop from the all-time high. Then we'll have a convincing rally, around 20+%. Then we'll see sideways chop and, a slow bleed in the markets before the eventual capitulation event that sees us bottom out. And I think we can compare that to what we're seeing now. Like we had an all-time high in October 10th, right? Or before then, at around 126K USD. We then dropped to around 85K USD. But then we covered it, at the start of the year that we had that relief rally to around 97K USD.
We all call BS.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like we all kind of knew that something wasn't right in the air, and we all kind of knew that the worst was yet to come, and it was. And so I don't think we've seen the last of these relief rallies. I think we might see one or two more in 2026. But yeah, it's just important to understand like what are the key things to look for to understand have we bottomed out, or is this just one of these rallies that doesn't really have any juice behind it.